Elbow and wrist injuries are common across all sports, especially those that involve a lot of gripping and/or repetitive wrist movements, such as tennis, squash, and golf. Common elbow injuries include conditions such as lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow and medial epicondylitis, also known as golfer's elbow. Tennis elbow is very common in racket sports players, with approximately 50% of all tennis players reporting an incidence of tennis elbow at least once in their tennis careers. However, anyone could develop tennis elbow, with only 10% of tennis elbow cases being reported by tennis players. We've included both elbow and wrist prehab exercises in this one video, as problems with the elbow are often linked to the wrist and vice versa. As always, if you have ongoing pain, we recommend talking with your GP or your physiotherapist. So these two next stretches are our wrist flexor and our wrist extensor stretch, which can be useful to treat or proactively prevent cases of tennis elbow and golfer's elbow. So just quickly, two of the movements of the wrist are wrist extension, where I'm bringing my hand back like this, and wrist flexion, where I'm bringing my hand forward like this. So in order to stretch the extensor muscles of the wrist, we're going to bring the wrist into flexion. So I'm going to straighten my elbow and just gently pull down my hand to stretch these muscles. So you can hold this for about 30 seconds and then move into the other movement. So you're just going to gently grab your fingers, extend your wrist, and this is stretching the flexor muscles of the wrist. Our next two exercises are wrist flexion and wrist extension, which are useful both for strengthening and for preventing injuries. So what Jennifer is going to do, she's going to pick up a dumbbell, recommending starting with something nice and light, maybe 1 kilo or 2 kilos, and then gradually building up from there. Jennifer is in a seated position, And I'm just going to show you the position of the arm that's preferred to get the most benefit out of the exercise. So Jennifer's wrist is slightly off the edge of her knee, and then Jennifer is bending forward so that her elbow is flat on her leg. So basically we have a nice stable base for which to do the exercise on. And then we're going to start off with wrist extension. So what Jennifer is going to do is she's going to bring her wrist up and then slowly down, and we want to get the full range of movement out of this exercise. So come up as much as you can and then down as much as you can. So the other movement is wrist flexion. So Jennifer is going to turn her arm over, keeping the same position, so your elbow is still on your leg and your wrist is still slightly off the edge of your knee. And then Jennifer is going to slowly bend up the wrist as much as she can and slowly relax it back down. It's important to go slowly both on the way up and on the way down of both variations so that you get the most benefit out of the exercise. So this next video is elbow supination, so it helps to strengthen the supinator muscles of the elbow, which are great in reducing elbow pain or proactively preventing it from happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lean forward so that my elbow and my forearm are flat on my leg. I'm going to have my wrist coming off the edge of my knee. You could also do this over a bench or whatever you feel most comfortable with. And then I'm holding a nice and light dumbbell in my hand, and I can slowly build the weight up over time as I feel able. Starting with your palm facing the floor, you're going to slowly turn over your wrist and then slowly bring it back down. So going nice and slowly is quite important here. There is another method of doing this where you can use a TheraBand. So some people prefer doing this movement with a TheraBand. What you're going to do is just hold it nice and strong in one hand and then apply some resistance with the other hand, like so. You're going to have the same movement with your hand and your arm coming over the edge of your knee, and then you're going to slowly turn over your hand and slowly bring it back down and continue like so. So using a TheraBand can be quite useful for people that might not have access to dumbbells, or they've gone beyond the weight of what they have available from their own dumbbells. So in these two exercises, we'll be looking at radial deviation and ulnar deviation. These two movements are commonly neglected in prehab or exercise programs, and they're great for proactively reducing your chances of wrist and elbow injuries. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking a light dumbbell, and you can start by gripping it in the middle. For radial deviation, we're going to bend the wrist like so towards our thumb. And then for ulnar deviation, we're going to bend the wrist back, so towards our ulnar bone on our pinky finger side. So in order to make this exercise more difficult, you can increase the weight of the dumbbell, or you can use the law of the lever. So I'm bringing my hand back towards the back of the dumbbell to lift up for radial deviation. So you can see here we have more of the dumbbell to lift on this side. Or then for ulnar deviation, I'm bringing my hands to the front of the dumbbell, and then I'm doing the same movement of ulnar deviation, so towards the ulnar side of my wrist. The bicep curl is a useful exercise for strengthening the bicep muscle group, which is a large group of muscles at the top of your arm. So what we're going to do is start by standing up nice and tall, and we're going to squeeze the core and make sure that we're not leaning forwards. We're going to lock the elbows in by the sides, and then we're going to bring the elbows up towards the shoulders and then slowly bring the elbows back down.